Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are jumping right into the, let's be honest, pretty murky waters of the modern wellness industry. It is a world just jam-packed with promises for a healthier, happier you, but how much of it is actually real science, and how much is just a really, really good sales pitch? Well, we're about to give you the tools to figure that out.
So, have you ever heard something like this before? Detox your mind, or balance your energy fields. Maybe use this one ancient secret to unlock your true potential. It all sounds so easy, so empowering, but doesn't that also sound, just a little too good to be true?
Well, there's a reason for that. It almost certainly is too good to be true. See, behind these beautifully simple promises is a massive global industry, and it has a powerful financial reason to keep you buying into quick fixes, often at the direct expense of real, proven care for your mental health. And hey, if you believe that getting clear, science-backed information like this is absolutely crucial, please just take a quick second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It is no joke the best way to support what we're doing, and it helps us get this information out to more people who need it. We really, truly appreciate it.
Okay, so how in the world do we navigate this giant sea of misinformation? We do it with knowledge. Over the next few minutes, this is going to be our roadmap. We're going to walk through these 6 steps to turn you into an empowered mental health inspector, someone who's fully equipped to protect your most valuable asset, your mind.
Okay, let's dive right in. First, we need to understand the sheer scale of what we're up against here. This isn't some little niche market. We are talking about a global powerhouse. That's the number, $4.4 trillion. That is the estimated value of the global wellness industry. Now, when you see a number that huge, you have to realize its main goal isn't your well-being, it's commerce. It's an industry that gets really, really good at creating problems and then conveniently selling you the solutions for them, whether they actually work or not. And this slide right here really breaks down the fundamental conflict of interest at play. On one side, you've got evidence-based medicine. It's regulated, it's held accountable for results, and its whole goal is to find proven treatments that, ideally, fix the problem. But on the other side, a huge chunk of the wellness industry is basically the Wild West. It's unregulated, it's accountable only to its sales numbers, and its business model often depends on you needing their products again and again and again.
So you might be wondering, if the evidence is so weak, how does this industry get so incredibly persuasive? The answer is kind of brilliant and also a little scary. It gets so good by masterfully exploiting the little bugs and glitches in our own psychology.
Pseudoscience works best when we're at our most vulnerable. When we're in pain, or scared, or just desperate for an answer. And in that moment, it offers something that real science usually can't, a simple, certain solution. It just skips all the complicated data and instead feeds us these emotionally powerful stories. And, to protect itself from any criticism, it often invents a villain, claiming that Big Pharma or some other shadowy group is hiding the real cure.
And this right here is the 1-2 punch that keeps people hooked. First, you've got the placebo effect. Your own belief that something will work is so powerful it can create a real physical improvement. It's just usually temporary. Then, the sunk cost fallacy kicks in. Once you've spent, say, $200 on miracle supplements in a month of your time, it becomes really hard psychologically to just admit it was a waste. So what do? You double down, convincing yourself that it must be working.
All right, so how do we fight back? It's time to build our defense system. Let's arm ourselves with a powerful toolkit for telling the difference between fact and total fiction. Okay, the number one weapon in our arsenal is something called scientific literacy. Now, this isn't about memorizing a bunch of science facts. It's about understanding the process of science, how we ask questions, how we test ideas, and how we weigh evidence. Honestly, think of it less like a textbook and more like a vaccine that protects your mind from the virus of misinformation. So, a huge piece of this toolkit is getting the difference between correlation and causation. Pseudoscience loves correlation. It'll say something like, people who drink this tea report less anxiety. But did the tea cause it? Or was it just the calming ritual of making tea? Or the placebo effect? Real science works its tail off to prove causation, and that's a step the wellness industry often, very conveniently, skips right over.
And this pyramid is your new best friend. It shows how scientists figure out what's strong evidence and what's weak. See, not all proof is created equal. Way down at the bottom, the absolute weakest form, you have anecdotes, personal stories. This is where pseudoscience lives. But as you climb the pyramid, the proof gets stronger and more reliable, all the way up to randomized controlled trials, or RCTs. These are the gold standard because they're the best way we have to prove if a treatment actually caused an effect. Real medicine always aims for the top.
Awesome. So now you have the basic tools. Let's put them to work. Think of these next few slides as your field guide for spotting the red flags out in the wild. Those little warning signs that tell you something just isn't right.
First, you want to check their methods. Your practical tool here is to just ask, where's the proof? Do they just dismiss the gold standard, RCTs, as being too rigid? Is there only evidence a website full of glowing 5-star reviews? Have you tried searching for their groundbreaking research in a major scientific journal and come up with nothing? If you're nodding your head, yeah, your alarm bells should be screaming right now.
Next, listen really carefully to the words they use. Your tool here is to spot the hype. A massive red flag is any promise that a single product is a cure-all for like a dozen unrelated problems. You also want to be super wary of vague, science-y sounding terms that don't actually mean anything, like energy fields, vibrations, or quantum healing. And of course, there's the classic conspiracy claim that this is a secret cure the establishment just doesn't want you to know about.
And finally, this is maybe the most powerful tool you have. Always, always follow the money. It is a huge red flag when the same person who gives you a fuzzy diagnosis, like a toxic energy blockage, also just so happens to sell the one and only exclusive cure. Look out for crazy high costs that insurance won't touch, and watch how they react to criticism. Do they respond with data and evidence, or do they just attack their critics with personal insults?
Okay, so we have torn down a lot of false promises. So it's totally fair to ask, what does real, evidence-based mental health actually look like? What should we even be aiming for? Let's build a more accurate and, frankly, more hopeful picture.
So the first and most crucial thing is we have to reject the myth the wellness industry sells us, this impossible idea of constant happiness where you never ever feel sad or anxious. That's not being human. The real, achievable, and way more empowering goal is psychological resilience. It's the skill of being able to handle difficult emotions, cope with them in a healthy way, and keep functioning and finding meaning in your life. It's about strength, not about numbness.
And this model brilliantly explains why all those cure-all claims are just so absurd. The scientific framework for understanding mental health is called the biopsychosocial model. It basically shows us that our mental state is this complex dance between our biology, our psychology, and our social world. But that's not a problem. It's a map. It shows us there are multiple paths to feeling better.
All right, let's bring it all home. You've got the tools, you got the knowledge, you have a realistic goal. Now let's talk about the actual, actionable plan to reclaim your mind and protect it from here on out.
If you're looking for help, this is your game plan. Step 1. Check credentials. Are they a licensed professional, like a psychologist or a psychiatrist? Step 2. Ask them about their approach. Do they use evidence-based practices, like cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT? And step 3. Look for transparency. A good professional will work with you to set clear, measurable goals and be totally upfront about what to expect.
And you know what's so amazing about this? When you strip away all the marketing, all the noise, the true evidence-based foundations of mental wellness are things that don't come in an expensive bottle. Decades of solid research all point to these 3 pillars: getting enough quality sleep, regular physical activity, and nurturing strong social connections. These aren't products you buy, they're practices you build. They are your accessible, everyday superpowers.
So, we'll leave you with this question. We've given you the toolkit, we've given you the field guide. You are now officially a mental health inspector. The only question left is, what's the first step you're going to take to use this knowledge? How will you start questioning the claims you see online? Or even better, how will you focus on a real evidence-based practice in your own life? The power to protect your mind, it really is in your hands now. Thanks so much for watching.